Well, guys, if you're watching this video, it's because the Marauders closed beta has come to an end. And you're here for my final thoughts. Maybe you took part in the beta, and you want to see the experiences and the thoughts of another closed beta gamer. Or maybe you're still on the fence on the game and want to have more information before moving forward with a purchase. If you're option B, then I'm going to give you my opinion on if you should get it or not. Firstly, though, this opinion is based off the fact that you enjoy loot, shoot, extract mechanics in games. If you're not a fan of Tarkov or the Cycle or Hunt the Showdown, you're probably not going to be a fan of this. If you like some of those but not all of those, you're probably going to be a fan of this. I can give you all my reasons. If you wait to the end of the video, you'll have all of them in front of you and you can make your decision then. Or you can skip all that and I'll give you my honest opinion. Go buy the game. I'll say it again in case you didn't hear me well. You should buy this game. My reasons why? Well, that's for the rest of the video. If you just came here to hear yes or no, buy the game, there you go. You can now close the tab out, open up the Marauders website, and buy an access key for the next beta or early access or whatever they choose to do. If you want to hear all about the game and what I think and my beta experience, then stick around. So you're sticking around, huh? Alright. Well, let me first statement this by saying it's a beta, right? We're not commenting on the final release of this game. What I'm going to be going into may be the things I like that shift. They may be the things that I don't like that get fixed by the time you play it. But either way, these are the things I noticed in the beta, and I'm bringing up as reasons why I like the game, but also maybe things that could be fixed to make the game better, kind of thing. So, it's not all roses with Marauders, but it is also a beta, and most of the things that I didn't like about the game, I can excuse as it's a beta. Jumping right into it, the matchmaking. This is the most likely to have issues once it's not a closed beta, because we all know open betas and early access make a game stress more as far as servers go in matchmaking. So, this could flip to a con, but as of right now, it was one of the smoothest experiences I had for queuing up a match with friends and getting right in. Matchmaking for this beta really hasn't been that bad. Like, we've gotten kicked and things like that, but actually getting into matches seems pretty efficient. Where it feels like Tarkov still can't figure that one out. It takes like freaking 5 to 8 minutes when servers first go live in a beta. You queue up a match, and within less than a minute, you're in a match, typically. I think the longest I ever saw on the counter was 1:35. That was with extra friends joining me, and queue times for single matches were even faster. So, loved that about this game. Would definitely say for the fact that you could jump into a match in less than a minute usually, and matches, if you stay in the whole time, are roughly 25 minutes. This is an easy game to jump into, put a little time in on the end of your day. You get home from your work day, you eat, you don't got a lot of time left before you go to bed. This is a good game to be able to invest some time in, whereas if you come from like Tarkov, we all know how that Tarkov matchmaking can be sometimes. Looking at you, Nikita. Still looking. Alright, moving on. So, matchmaking right now feels great. We can enjoy what's there. We don't have to worry right now in the beta. Obviously, it's shut down, so right now is not a good description. But when it was running, the matchmaking was great. We had a great time getting in with friends, playing. Some crashes we had, that was frustrating, but that's part of the beta. It wasn't actually like a frustration of we couldn't get into a match kind of thing. So, great experience there. I hope that holds on even after full release, how good those servers were and how stable they were. We only had one actual server crash where it wasn't our computers crashing, it was actually the server. So,
I just unloaded like 15, 20, 30 something shots.
Why are you just walking into a...
I just got disconnected, I think.
Yeah, the whole server just crashed.
Yep.
The
I
whole
couldn't
server's
switch guns.
crashed.
I couldn't switch guns.
I can't even shoot you. I
The,
can't
the
even kill
whole
you.
the whole server crashed. The whole server's
I mean, it's
down.
Oh, yeah,
11:03.
I
Did they just
yeah,
bring
I
down the
can't
servers
reload.
early? The next thing I'm gonna say is something I really enjoyed about the game was the smooth gameplay mechanics. Now, I don't just mean the gameplay as far as shooting, but you had like just really easy to understand, quick jump in and play mechanics throughout this game. You killed a guy, you looted him, you took the stuff you wanted. You didn't have to sit there packing mags with ammo. You didn't have to check the mags, unload the mags, take the mags. You could unload the mags. I should say you could unload the gun. There isn't, like, physical magazines you have to bring in right now. But my point is, there's not as much complexity there as, like, Tarkov, but there's still enough there to feel like you are really accomplishing something when you're, like, loading a bag. You're figuring out where things are going to go, and you're playing a little Tetris to make sure you get what you want. But you're not sitting there doing monotonous tasks very often. So I really enjoyed that. I did feel like the gunplay itself was also very smooth. You could get playing it within an hour. You felt like all the guns were easy for you to use. The amount of kick from each gun was very reasonable for the gun. You know, if you're using an LMG, it's going to kick more. That was pretty common, and it was easy to understand. So it didn't feel like every gun was so far out there that you couldn't play with it. It just felt like you had to learn what it was capable of and what it was good at, kind of thing. The next point I have on my list is non-typical gameplay. In this game realm, a lot of times you drop into a match, you kill some stuff, you loot it, and you extract. And while, yes, that's there, we also have the ship gameplay that really does add an entire level to this game, because it brings in the pirating aspect. It brings in trying to take out other players' ships and board them, and try to take their ship if it's worth it to you, or defend your ship if people are breaching your ship. Brought in a whole bunch of extra gameplay there that I think works really well for this. And if you want to go straight for docking and getting out there in the first person and shooting and stuff, you can do that. And most of the time, you're not going to get affected. You might get shot at a couple times, but not enough to where you can't make it to the landing zone. So they definitely had the option there to just skip over the ship mechanics if you really don't want to play that aspect. But it was really cool to play that and feel how that works with a crew. Don, fix the ship!
I am.
You're not fast enough! We're disabled!
Yeah,
Faster! Go again! Where one guy's fixing, one guy's a gunner, one guy's shooting or flying. Whatever. You were able to do all those different things and work as a crew, and it was more than just walking around as a crew trying to like call out things and shoot. You know, it brought a new element. I really appreciated that. So that's a fun thing that some of the other games on this list in this genre don't really have. The next thing on my list is flushed out crafting and scrapping. Once I started to figure out how that worked and how much was in there and how there were different items in there that you really didn't find in the world too often unless you kill a player who had crafted it and equipped it, that was really cool because it felt like there was a need for crafting because you weren't really finding it spawned in the maps very often. There was items that just crafted, and other than if a player made it and brought it in, you just didn't see it. So it made the crafting experience feel like it was worth it, and the scrapping made the crafting mechanic work well. Because sometimes you just weren't finding those items, but maybe you were finding other items you're never going to use, so you just decided, let me see what I'm going to get from scrapping this, and sure enough, you get the item from it that you need for the recipe you want to craft. The next point I have is guns and loot. It felt like for the beta, there was a lot of guns, and it was great. Every time I thought, man, I've probably seen all these guns, I'd find a new gun, or one of the guys would find a new gun and show me the new gun. And I was like, guys, this is awesome. There's so many guns in this game. We had everything from little single-shot pistols, all the way up to flamethrowers, and LMGs, and, you know, whatever else you could think of. We were running around knifing people at one point, you know, we're doing whatever we got to survive, and we're finding all these guns in the meantime. Not to mention the looting experience of looting the enemies on the ground and all the different stuff you might find walking around. You can find vaults, and then they just break off. And then you can just cut the clips off the vaults, like the little seals, with the torch. You could cut them off, and then you could open it up, and there's lots of loot inside. You never know what you might find. There's supply drops, and supply drops have random chance of random items in it, and it's just such a well thought out way to do loot where it doesn't feel overwhelming and there's too much, but always feels like there might be something new around the corner. And I like that. And I hope it always stays that way. Even once it's out, I hope they keep adding guns and things like that for free to the game, like Hunt and so many other games this genre do, so that we can continue to feel like, okay, what's around the corner? What do we got coming? What might be out there that I want to go put my life on the line for? You know? So I think right now it's very well done with that, and I hope they keep adding the content we need to keep it feeling alive and fresh when we're going on these loot runs. Now, down to a few of the cons I had in the beta, / things I think that could be changed before release. Firstly, most obviously, we need to fix the crashes. We had a lot of crashes to desktops across the board, and when you're playing a game where you lose everything when that happens, that's really frustrating. They said they're going to be doing like a patch to make it so that at least when you get crashed to desktop or something like that, you come back with the loot you took in. You don't get to keep, obviously, the stuff you had when you were in there, but you get to get back at least what you took in. That's nice to know. I feel like that's a pretty good answer to it right now while they're trying to fix all the other stuff. Obviously, right now the beta's not active, so it's not affecting anyone right now. But if they bring it back for an open beta and they're still having those crashes to desktops, maybe this patch will be in place and it'll help with some of the frustrations. Secondly, we need to fix the controller bug. I don't know if the controller is usable in game. I'm going to be totally honest with you. A game like this, I don't play on controller, but I did have my controller plugged in, and I noticed if you have a controller plugged in, every once in a while the mouse will just start drifting to the top, and it'll just stay drifting. And it's not my controller. Other people are having the same issue, and it's not something you can just stop. And I didn't even know it was controller for the first match. The first night I was playing the game, it just kept happening randomly. I didn't even know what was causing it. I unplugged my USB controller, problem went away. Pretty easy to fix, but it could be frustrating if you're trying to play the game with a controller, if it's controller compatible. That's all I'm going to say about that one. Obviously, it should be addressed if they're going to allow people to play with controller. Other than that, no problems with that. This last one for me is more, I want to see this change implemented, and it's a gameplay change, not like a glitched or a problem. I just think it would help alleviate some frustrations. In this game, you have ship mechanics. Like I said before, that means you can board enemy ships and they can board you. My problem with this is, right now, if you breach an enemy ship, there's an animation of you breaching and pulling out your gun and everything that you can't do anything while you're in that animation, but you can be killed in that animation. My problem with this is, not once but twice, I hit a room and breached right next to an enemy, and they just whipped on me and blasted me before I even had a chance to return fire.
It put me right next to a player.
That's a bad mechanic. I think a way to fix this would be to make it believable as well, would be to implement when a breach happens in the room you're in, whether you're AI or you're a player, you have a stun effect that comes into play on the character that's in the room. If you're not in that room and you walk into the room from another room, so to be it, you know? But if you're in the room, you shouldn't be able to whip on the person that just breached and kill them before they have a chance to respond. And I do feel like a stun, almost like a stun grenade effect on the person who's in the room when it gets breached would be a both believable and practical way to fix this issue. And at this point, that's my only complaint, is breaching is a 50-50 chance you go into a room and just get blasted before you have time to react, and you lose everything. And in a game where you lose everything when you die, that's a problem. So, that's my negative part. Other than that, I enjoyed the beta. This is why, over all these points, I'm recommending you buy this game. A $30 game, unless it goes up, but right now, $30 game that you can get access to on the next beta they do, or early access, or even release, whatever way they go. You can head over to the website, you can get the game. Eventually it's going to be right on the Steam store page, but it's not right now. You have to go to the website. You can buy the game, and then the next time they open up the servers for players to play, you'll be able to play test it. I think for the average gamer, this is a very easy game to get into. I think it gives all the loot, shoot, extract mechanics that a lot of players like, but adds a few more mechanics that players like from like games like Sea of Thieves and things. It has good team play, and just overall, it's not too overwhelming for someone who's new to this genre to be able to get into and really enjoy without a whole lot of frustration. Even if you die in this game, it doesn't feel like it's trying to choke the life out of you and make you want to uninstall the game. It just makes you feel like you have to work harder to earn that stuff. And for the most part, the AI in the game is well balanced to the point where unless you're on like some of the hardest areas of the map, you can take out quite a few AI and kind of loot up. And for a solo guy who's not used to playing these kind of games, that might be exactly what they want. Be able to get in, kill a few AI, hide from the players, and get out with loot. That's okay. What all the chads out there might tell you, no, you need to grow up, get better at the game, and go do some PvP. There wouldn't be PvE elements if you weren't allowed to do them. So if all you want to do is play PvE, you can go in and very easily sneak around and take out AI and not fight with the players. You can be very like ratty and hide in the shadows and sneak around and loot stuff without ever drawing attention to yourself. And the AI in those lower end level areas are pretty easy to take out. So I do feel like that offers to the person who's not trying to get into big PvP fights and they're just trying to enjoy their game after a long day of work. I feel like that gives them the option. So I like this. I feel like there's a lot more content to come. If you like these kind of games, get this one. If you want to check out any more of my content, don't forget to subscribe. If you want to see me live, head over to twitch.tv/deadpleasestreams, and I'll see you in space. And I'm coming for you. Dead Please. Signing out.